Hey, everybody. Gotta love this, don't you? You've tuned into The Real Story. Yes, and once again, I still am Daniel Hapney, and I appreciate you coming in to this wonderful show. I wanted to ask you, are the banksters your bosses? Do you have bankster bosses? I know, it's the beginning of the show. You're like, hey, it's my first question. Take it easy on me. I'm just a viewer, but I'm going to ask. Is it really the banksters that took over our government, took over our army, took over our country? Is that why we do preemptive wars now? Does it benefit these banksters? Boy, is that why we're lied to by our media because the banksters control the media? Boy, are we just, are we learning the word austerity because the bankers wanted us to learn that? Yeah, and I'll go through some bankster stuff just for you. What you can expect. This is a prediction. Maybe I'm clairvoyant or something. I see inflation coming for you and your family. So for you people on fixed incomes, sorry. For you poor people, really sorry. For your children, hey, it's going to be tough out there. And what would I do if I was you? If I was the viewer and I was on the other end, I'd listen very closely because hyperinflation's coming your way. Yes, the banksters are taking down this economy like they took down Germany, with pretty much the same results, like they took down Argentina, Russia. Do you remember Japan? Do you remember the whole Asian monetary crisis? Nothing new, it's what they do. But I'm going to ask you, do you want them to be your bosses? Okay, they steal your wealth, they hijack your nation. I'm down on banksters. To hell with banksters. Okay, here's how it goes. We're going to start off with, this is a clip with Alan Greenspan admitting, yep, we knew there was fraud. So he even tells you. Nobody's gone to jail, by the way. But here you go.
There are two fundamental reforms that we need is to get adequate capital and two, to get far higher levels of enforcement of fraud statutes. Existing ones, I'm not even talking about new things were being done which were certainly illegal and clearly criminal in certain cases, fraud is a fact. Fraud creates very considerable instability in competitive markets. If you cannot trust your counterparties, it won't work. And indeed, we saw that it didn't.
So the guy who runs the private banking cartel, or formerly ran, quote, the private banking cartel, which you can't know the owners of because it's private, and you can't buy shares in, he tells you, yeah, I know there was fraud. Didn't see anybody at the SEC arrest anybody. You know why? Because they're all working from Goldman Sachs. That's right, that scum company. We're the biggest losers on the planet who may even reside here in Sharon. Goldman Sachs employees are scum. Same with JP Morgan. Total scum. Down on these banksters. But yeah, that was Alan Greenspan saying, hey, you know what? We know there was fraud, but I'll ask you, viewers, you know anybody got arrested for it? It's okay to steal from your pensions of the Mr. Policeman, isn't it? That's right. If I talk to my Department of Homeland Security representative, right, our liaison, Mr. McGrath, it's okay that the bankers stole from your pension, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, someday the people will listen. Someday they may learn. They may be poor at the time because bankers do that to you. So here's the next one. This is a Congressman, Dennis Kuchinich. Dennis is telling you, well, Wall Street done ripped you off big time. Here you go.
The $700 billion bailout for Wall Street is being driven by fear, not fact. This is too much money in too short a time going to too few people while too many questions remain unanswered. Why aren't we having hearings on the plan we just received? Why aren't we questioning the underlying premise of the need for a bailout with taxpayers' money? Why have we not even considered any alternatives other than to give $700 billion to Wall Street? Why aren't we asking Wall Street to clean up its own mess? Why aren't we passing new laws to stop the speculation which triggered this? Why aren't we putting up new regulatory structures to protect the investors? How do we even value the $700 billion in toxic assets? Why aren't we directly helping homeowners with their debt burden? Why aren't we helping American families faced with bankruptcy? Why aren't we reducing debts for Main Street instead of Wall Street? Isn't it time for fundamental change in our debt-based monetary system so we can free ourselves from the manipulation of by the Federal Reserve and the banks? Is this the United States Congress or the Board of Directors of Goldman Sachs? Wall Street is a place of bears and bulls. It's not smart to force taxpayers to dance with bears. or to follow closely behind the bulls.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from South Carolina.
I know, it's the greatest ripoff in history they sold to you. Oh, we've got to do this or the whole planet will collapse. Here's Gerald Celente. Just another perspective on how the bankers ripped you off.
Gerald, just wondering your analysis of these findings. Was it anything new, and what will actually be done?
No, it's not new. Go back to 2008. We sent out a trend alert. D.C. hijacked by Wall Street. It's the greatest heist in American history. What a surprise that Goldman Sachs got $3 billion. Who was the Treasury Secretary under Bush when the AIG deal came down? Oh, Henry Paulson. Where was he from? Gee, wasn't he the former chairman of Goldman Sachs? And look who Obama brought in now as his new chief of staff, Bill Daley, from that wonderful Daley family in Chicago. You know, that machine that's entrenched. And where did he come from? Gee, I think he was vice chairman of J.P. Morgan Chase. I mean, come on. Only an idiot, an imbecile, or an ideologue can't see the deal over here. Wall Street has hijacked Washington.
So dare I ask then, what was the point of this report?
It's a whitewash like all the rest of them. You know what's going to happen. As they say, no heads roll. You see Goldman Sachs gets fined. They get a slap on the wrist compared to their earnings. Bank of America gets fined for their dirty dealings. No heads roll. The only heads that are reserved to roll are we the people. And that's the way the deal works. The police have become nothing more than enforcers for the crime bosses. The big guys are off limits. Don't touch them. They're the white shoe boys. And they can't bust the gangs on the streets. They're too tough and wily. So who do they go after? They go after us. Look, this has been going on a long time. These commissions are nothing more than whitewashes. Who's running the commissions? The Republicans and the Democrats, the people that take the money from these stock brokerage firms, from these investment firms, but they have nice language for it. They call them campaign contributions. Could any adult say bribes and payoffs?
Gerald, I want to switch gears a little bit right now. I'm not sure to what extent you've been focusing on everything, but there's a lot going on sort of on a global scale. Japan seems to be getting kicked while it's already down. I know their credit rating was diminished. Their outlook changed from stable to negative. In your opinion, how big of a deal is this? And to what extent should Americans be paying kind of close attention to what happens there?
It's huge. And look what's going on in Europe. It hasn't been solved. Remember the Greek debt crisis? Ireland is in a depression. The UK, we just saw the numbers come out. Oh, unexpectedly, they're back in recession. You're going to see it in Belgium. You're going to see it in Italy. You're going to see it in Spain. Look what's going on in Tunisia and Egypt. We said it. It's youth of the world unite. You're seeing revolutions starting to break out. It's not only confined to the Arab nations, as the mainstream media are having us believe. You're seeing debtor nations go into default, and they cannot save the system by printing more digital money, not worth the paper it's not printed on.
Is China really, is it that soon that we should really start learning Mandarin, all of us?
China's a real threat. They're a military threat as well. We saw their new stealth fighter. One of the gentlemen talked about China's technology. Let's get this straight. It's not China's technology. It's the United States technology. It's Japan's technology. It's Siemens from Germany's technology. That was the deal. You do business in China, you have to give them their technology. The stealth fighter that they have, the aircraft carrier destroying missiles that they have, all the tough talk about how the United States could beat China militarily is just that. It's tough talk. The United States can't beat a bunch of Afghans with sandals and light arms. So no, it's China's a real threat. And let's get this other thing straight. It's not about kicking butt. Let's put it into perspective. Would you like a job making $50 a week in manufacturing? You can have one if you go to China. So that's what this is all about. It's a communist country. It's a totalitarian dictatorship. You make the rules, and the people play by them. So China is a real threat. And the United States, I just heard President Obama say, the game has changed during his State of the Nation address. No, the game has changed, but not because of what he said. It's because of NAFTA and the World Trade Organization. They sold the country out, and China bought it real cheaply.
Just real briefly, Gerald, I know here in the United States today, a hot topic of conversation, Social Security, the weak economy affecting its lifeline. Some people even estimating it will totally run out by 2037. Your comment on that?
Well, you know, again, if we could bail out these companies to the tunes of tens of trillions of dollars, what's the big deal here with Social Security? That always becomes the whipping boy. Look, people put their money into this thing like I do and everybody else does. When you retire, you want a piece of it back. So the government is being run very inefficiently at a lot of different levels, and they keep going to Social Security to make that look like the bad guy. Hey, how about the defense budget? $1 trillion a year, both on and off related defense-related issues. So again, Social Security is only political talk to rile the people up.
Once again, all of this interconnected. Gerald Celente, Director of Trends Research Institute.
So now, so you can put a little bit of it in perspective, I've got some pictures for you. This I call this is the bailout orgasm. Yeah, there's Barney Frank, the guy Sharon keeps re-electing. It's okay, he's a kitty toucher. He's got caught with underage male brothels running in his Maryland home. He hires male prostitutes, but it's okay for him to stand in a school zone at Sharon High School to get your vote, because you Sharon voters, you're go Barney. Barney boy, back to the orgasm picture. That's him having a, oh my God, we get the bankers just what they wanted. Yeah, Barney. What's scum? Gosh, scum. No different from Goldman scum. So anyway, here you are. Here's a little picture for you. It's a headline. It's Goldman Sachs. The average bonus, guess what it could be? Could it be $430,000? That's just the average. Yeah, the people on Main Street are starving. Yeah, we have 43 million people, Americans, on food stamps. Yeah. Let's see, unemployment's at an all-time high. Yeah. But Goldman Sachs, they're getting those bonuses, and you're paying for them. And the better thing is, your grandchildren are paying for them. Yeah, and for you policemen and firemen, yeah, you better check your pension plans, and teachers also, because you were all for the old man, you know. The old man, yeah, we want the old man. He's going to help education. Look what he did to your pensions, because his buddies, yeah, who gave the old man the most money? Who, 4 times more money than McCain, the old man got from Goldman Sachs. So anyway, here you go. Income inequality chart. Hey, has it been getting better? You're in America. You tell me. Gets more. How about, here's another picture for you. This is in the insider buy-to-sell ratio. Do you know what that means? For you viewers, you're an insider if you're a chief executive officer, if you're a chief financial officer, if you're a chief operations officer, okay? If you're on the board of directors, they consider you an insider, okay? So, isn't it kind of strange that for the first time, they're all selling their stocks and they're not buying any? There's some homework. Look up insider trading. Look up insider selling. Look at the buy-to-sell ratio. And why don't you watch it for the last quarter? What do these people know? Is this like Bush knowing to take and get on Cipro before the anthrax attacks happened? Weeks before, like 3 weeks? But did he know stuff before you did? Kind of funny. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, here you go. This one I know you're going to love, because this is Lloyd Blankfein, right? The chief executive officer of what? Of Goldman Sachs. And what's he doing? His salary tripled. Yeah, he stole more money. Oh, and by the way, if you remember the Troubled Asset Recovery Program, the TARP, they changed Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan then, didn't they? They became bank holding companies. How advantageous was that for them? Why do our Barney Franks and our Ted Kennedys at the time, and also our John Kerrys and all our representatives, why did they want Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan to all of a sudden become bank holding companies? Does that mean they wouldn't be regulated by bank regulators because they're not banks anymore? They're now just bank holding companies?